Hi, and welcome to our International Young Prophets. We're going to talk today with Dr. Melodye Hilton. It's such an honor to be here with you. We're going to talk about how to become a higher living leader. And we're really going to go through your book, Higher Living Leadership. I know you have the marketplace, and we're probably going to go through a little more of the biblical because of our young leaders, and we want to bless you guys. So welcome, Dr. Melodye, into, just to talk about this. We're going to focus today on leadership reformation. So when we talk about that, what is personal leadership reformation?
Well, first of all, I think we have to understand what reformation is, because reformation means to rescue from error and return to its rightful course. And so in our lives, before we knew the Lord, we were in error. We were walking away from purpose and destiny and our value and our worth. But when we received Jesus, we were rescued from that error and we were put on a course of destiny fulfillment and discovering actually who we are in Him. And so when we walk in reformation, then it empowers us to lead reformation in our spheres of influence, whether that's business, government, any marketplace arena, in ministry. But who we are internally now has the ability to bring a rescue from error in our spheres of influence. And that's really our goal, is transformation and reformation, so that the mountain of the Lord's house can truly be established upon every mountain of society.
Wow, I love that. And we talk a lot about healthy leadership. How in this book, which I mean, it's such an incredible book. I really highly recommend it to everyone because it's probably one of the best leadership books that I've read myself. I know I've told you that. So when we talk about healthy leadership, what's really important for young leaders, any type of leaders, I guess, to not be driven by fear? I know that's really one of your passions to teach that. So,
well, fear is so deceptive, and there's some very aggressive fears that we know we're afraid. But then there's some fears that are literally sabotaging us, and it doesn't feel like fear because it feels like this is what I need to do to meet my need. Or if I have this platform, I'll feel valuable. But in actuality, I'm trying to do by the strength of my own arm. I'm driven with egocentric behaviors, needs-motivated behaviors, which are all fear-based. And the destructive power of fear is that whatever I do when I'm afraid, I become the opposite of who I am. So whatever God's placed on the inside of me, when my decisions are fear-driven, now what I'm releasing is opposite. And it is woven with impurity. Fear just like perverts and distorts and mutes the beautiful voice God's placed on the inside of me. So fear literally causes me to function opposite of what God created me to do and to be on this earth.
wow, I love that. We're going to break into in another chapter a little bit more talking about that, because I think if people get healed from that, they can come into the fullness of what you would say is their contribution to the earth. And so let's talk about successful leadership. When you wrote this book, because obviously there's an end purpose of making healthy leadership successful. What does successful leadership look like to you?
And I love how you put the word in there, healthy. Because the fact is, if I have emotional and spiritual health, I am not controlled by fear, and there is this sense of peace and value. We've talked a lot about the fruit of the Spirit, and when I choose love, and I choose peace, and I choose long-suffering, when I choose the fruit of the Spirit, I'm walking in health. I'm walking in an internal peace, and guess what? I'm automatically successful. When I walk in that way, I am successful in the eyes of God. But when people are looking at external things, I believe success is manifested by being authentic. I believe it's manifested by me releasing the purity of my voice and my purpose and my passion. I think successful leadership is having influence and impact. And so the world's going to know we're Christians by our love. The world is going to know we're Christians by our character. And so the more we walk in that health, the more impact we're going to have in our world. And it's not based upon what level of platform we have. No. That is a byproduct of successful leadership. Who we know and who we reach is a byproduct of successful leadership. And so I think it's the internal management for external success.
Wow, what an incredible answer. Okay, so let's talk about justice. You kind of have a unique way of viewing justice. I know that's a big, big topic to try to get in this short time, but let's go like a basic definition of what justice, your view of justice is.
Well, when you talk about justice, you're talking about my core value motivation here. But to really understand justice, we have to understand what injustice is. Wow. And injustice is an abuse of power, where I take my position, my platform, my influence, my wealth, whatever resource I have, whatever I carry, my gifts, whenever I use what I have, and I use it to take away from someone else what God destined them to have, it is injustice. And when you've experienced injustice, you are motivated to bring justice to others. And for me personally, because I like being authentic and I like being real, my life has not always been perfect. And I was molested from the time I was 2 years old to 9 years old. So just because someone was physically stronger than me, emotionally stronger than me, they used that power to damage a little girl. And that is injustice. Yeah. And if we're talking about higher living leaders, I must make sure that I do not become an instrument of injustice to take advantage of you for my gain. Wow. But to use my influence and my power and my wealth and my resources and my gifts to empower you. Justice is simply power used for good.
Wow, I love that definition.
And so this is what makes a successful leader. Because the byline of my book is influencing societal design as an instrument of justice. So if we truly are an instrument of justice, we will influence our culture, we will influence companies, we will influence school systems, we will influence governments. I've had more impact in those non-Christian environments because every action of my heart was justice driven. I wasn't there so I had a sermon illustration to say, look what Melodye did. I was there to really be an instrument of justice, to bring validation and honor to those people, to shift their mindsets so there could be rescue from error and a return to a rightful course. That's justice. Wow. We'll never have Reformation without a heart of justice.
Wow, I love that. That's incredible. So do you feel like your generation of leaders have set us up? I know writing this book is really to bring healthiness to leadership. Do you feel like it's kind of you guys have set us up for failure, for success, not in a condemnation, but in let's get back on track kind of way?
Right. I think we have done good and we've done bad. Okay. I think we have been instruments of justice and injustice. And only each one in my generation can determine by assessing the motives, the thoughts, the intents of their hearts. Because it's not just what I do externally, it's the motive of my heart. So if I'm sitting here today because I want a platform with the International Young Prophets, if I'm sitting here today because I am using you for my gain, that is injustice. And literally, you're going to know on the inside of you that I'm taking advantage of you, and you're not going to want to trust me because you know that I'm doing it for my good and not your good. And so, but when I genuinely and authentically want to partner with you, not be above you, but empower you and lift you up, then I am positioned to partner together with you so that I will be one of the greatest influencers in your life. Wow. And that's only a choice that we can make.
Wow, I love that, Dr. Melodye, just nuggets of wisdom and leadership. So we want to make sure that you guys get this because, like I said, it's probably one of the best leadership books I've read. It's called Higher Living Leadership. There's a biblical edition, and back here we have the Marketplace. And we also have it in Spanish if you'd like to get that. And you can also get all these on Amazon.com. And you can order it. I know there's a Kindle version and also the paperback. So Dr. Melodye, what was really, like, just to close off, what was really your heart in writing this?
Because I wanted to see our generation genuinely and authentically partner with another generation. I wanted our generation to be able to influence the marketplace, because one thing I've recognized is what gives us platforms of influence in our world is the motivation of our heart. So it's time for us to raise the bar of leadership, that my leadership isn't for me, my leadership is to impact my world, so that there can be generational partnerships, there can be racial partnerships, there can be international partnerships, there can be partnerships even in government and business and media and the educational system. We have to be able to come together with a purity of heart and a healthy mindset so that we can love well, serve well, and influence well.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this teaching on Leadership Reformation with Dr. Melodye Hilton, and we'll join you next time.